Good morning, beloved. Peace be with you. Well, we have come full circle this Easter season. So we had this gospel probably a couple days after the resurrection, after Easter, during the Easter week there, as part of one of the resurrection appearances. And now we have it again near the end of the Easter season, as we're just about to go into celebrate Pentecost. So full circle, we get it twice. If we get it twice, it must be important, huh? And so we'll just step through again a lot of the same teaching, which hopefully will go deeper this time. And this is one of those good examples where it's important for us to, as we're reading the scripture, first to take it for what it says according to the translation that we have, but then to be going deeper, reading different commentaries and even learning. It's not difficult today. There's so many Bible study tools, but learning to recognize certain things in the Greek. And otherwise we miss the whole point here in this passage. As we've said many times, especially this Easter season, because John uses that word love all the time, we've looked at the word love. And we've said many times in English, we just have the one word, love. And so we don't understand all the nuances to the different types of love, the different of what they're talking about. And here Jesus we know, Jesus asked Peter 3 times, "Do you love me?" But there's different, they're using different love languages, different words for love here. And it's very common to understand. Jesus asked him 3 times, "Do you love me?" Because he's countering the 3 denials that Peter did. Peter denied him 3 times. Right before the denial, Peter spoke up and Jesus said, "You guys are all going to betray me. Someone here is going to betray me, and you're all going to leave me." And Peter said, "Not me. Even if all of them leave you, not me." In other words, I am the faithful one. I'll be here, even if they all leave you. I love you the most, in a sense, right? And so that's the first question that Jesus asked Peter. Do you love me more than all of these? Even if all of these don't love me, do you love me? So Jesus is countering this because this is actually a good way of psychologically being healed, even for us today, when we sin against the Lord in different ways or deny him in different ways. This is a good way to restore our love for him and to bring back that healing. Part of the healing here is just Peter having to recognize himself, that he doesn't love the Lord as much as he thought. Maybe we saw in the garden he was willing to kill for the Lord and cut off somebody's ear, but he wasn't willing to suffer for the Lord. So he asks him, that's where this first question, do you love me more than these? It's the only time he says more than these. It's recounting that Last Supper discourse. And Jesus is saying, do you love me unconditionally? It's agape love. Do you love me unconditionally? More than all of these? And Peter answers and says to him, yes, Lord. Lord, you know that I love you. But Peter, we know, doesn't use agape. Peter uses the word more for fraternal love. I love you fraternally. I love you like a brother. It can also mean I love you with great affection. I have great affection for you. But it does not mean agape. It's not unconditional. There's some strings attached. It's not perfected yet. But he said, it's kind of almost like, do you love me unconditionally? Of course I love you, Lord. You know I love you. Yeah, I have tons of affection for you. You know. Yeah, Lord, yeah, you know. Jesus says, feed my lambs. In other words, okay, I want you to love me unconditionally, and you love me with great affection, but your affection isn't unconditional yet. Here's how you get there. Feed my lambs. This is really his response for each one, Feed my lambs, tend my sheep, feed my sheep. This is the practical way Jesus is giving Peter to grow and to develop agape love. So anytime, you just think about it practically as you're slowing down this reading. Okay, when you feed somebody else, you are taking from your life to give them food so they have life. That's love. Anytime you do something for somebody else, whether you recognize it or not, we're having to say no to ourselves so I can do something for somebody else. That's love. These are small steps of agape love. And we have to do these small steps so that our small agape love grows to complete, perfected, or mature agape love. So every time I deny myself to give something to somebody else, I'm practicing unconditional love. I have to practice in those small, practical steps so that my love that grows and becomes mature, complete, fully grown. I have to do these small steps. Everything, Jesus gives us these crazy goals, but all of them are to be grown into, developed. It's like if I told you Jesus expects every single one of us to be able to bench press 315 pounds every day. And not just one time. This should be a regular part of your daily routine. You should be able to bench press 315 pounds anytime you walk in the gym. And most of us you'd look at me and say, that is not going to happen, Father. And I have to say, well, Jesus expects it of you. So what are we going to do to grow into that? Okay, maybe you and I can't do 315 pounds today, but guess what? There's steps we can take to grow into that. And what we have to do on our part is commit with our whole life to the steps. I commit to taking steps, to growing that direction, trusting that the Lord will help my love mature, help me get there. First step, you gotta get a gym membership. And then you gotta change your schedule so you go to the gym 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and block out an hour of your day to go to the gym. What are you beginning to do? You're beginning to deny yourself or living for yourself so you can live for what God has asked you to do, what he expects you to grow into. And then you're going to have to work with me or some personal trainer to do certain exercises on Monday, other ones on Wednesday, other ones on Friday. And guess what? You're going to get tired, and you're going to get sore, and you're not going to feel like going sometimes. And other things are going to come up, and distractions will come. And you're going to have to commit to the discipline of the routine that's going to strength train you. And the more you and I commit to the discipline of the strength training, in time we will see growth and maturity until we can bench press 315 pounds. And it may seem impossible until a couple months, couple years, and all of a sudden there it is. I love one of my friends. He's like 75 years old now. And he's just always worked out a little bit every day or every other day. And he has always been able to go in and do 10 reps of 225 pounds. And he loves walking in the gym at 75 and looking at the young guys struggling to put it up 200 pounds. And he says, let me show you how to do something. And then he just does it because he's always done it. You know, once you and I get into shape, it's easy to stay in shape. You just keep the routine, keep the discipline. Once you and I learn how to love, it's easy to love. It becomes a natural instinct. It's part of our life. Our bodies were made to have muscle memory. Physical muscle memory, mental muscle memory, emotional muscle memory. That's where trauma comes in sometimes, huh? It could be for good or for bad. But we were made to be able to grow into routines and walk this out and make it a regular part of our life. Agape love is the same. What Jesus tells Peter to do today, these practical small steps, you and I can do as well. Feed my lambs. Tend my sheep. Feed my sheep. This is not just for bishops or for the Pope or for priests or for clergy. It's for every single person who wants to grow in love. Feeding means giving food that's going to bring life. Physical and spiritual. Again, how are you feeding somebody else? Spiritual food. How are you discipling somebody else so they're growing in the life of God? Tending sheep. Tending means care for, cultivate, guarding and protecting. Anytime you are guarding somebody, you're putting your life on the line to protect them. That's agape love. How are you guarding, tending, caring for, and cultivating Jesus' sheep, his people, the people you come to church with every day or every Sunday? If you have a dog, they guard you because usually when you're walking with them, they'll naturally go in between you and something that's dangerous or something they're not sure of. They'll go right in the middle. That's their natural way of guarding, of tending you. It's just part of their instinct because they love. That has to be our instinct. When we sense something is not good, is dangerous, or we're not sure about it, for the church, for the people of God, we got to step in the middle. That's what a shepherd does. Jesus asked this question. It's good for every one of us to, sit quietly and be Peter in this passage. And Jesus says to you, do you love me unconditionally? And for you and I to be honest and respond with an honest response. Lord, I love you, but I don't love you unconditionally yet. And where are you holding back? And speak that to him. Where do we trust him? Where do we not? Because wherever that area is, that's where he wants us to grow. That's where he's going to speak. In that area, that's where he's going to speak to us and say, okay, that's where I need you to practice tending, guarding, feeding. He'll show it to you and I if we sit there still with him and we're honest with him. And we have to want to grow. And if you want to be with God for all eternity, in heaven or in the new heavens and the new earth, you have to become full, mature, complete agape love. Everyone in heaven loves maturely, unconditionally. There's no one in heaven still trying to grow in love. Those people are in purgatory. The people not trying to grow in love, they're not in purgatory. Because they're not trying. They have no desire to grow in love. So which one are you and I? If we're not there yet, then we're not heavenly. If we're on the way, we're in purgatory. If we're not even trying, we're in hell. Life without agape love is hell. That's what it is. However you and I are living when we die, that's where we go. It's all about small practical steps to develop this, to grow into it, so it happens. And to understand what steps Jesus wants you and I to take individually, we have to sit with him today. And we have to be Peter in this passage. And we have to hear him ask the question, do you love me unconditionally? And we have to respond with honesty, yes or no. Here's where I am, Lord. Here's where I'm struggling to love you unconditionally. Here's where I'm afraid to give of myself. Here's where I'm afraid to trust you. Here's where I'm afraid to get out of my comfort zone. Whatever it is for you. And let him give you, through the Holy Spirit in you, the practical steps to grow out of that fear and into his love. That's his desire for every one of us.